hard to deal with. That's hard to deal with, huh?
Oh, no, it's like anything else. You live each day as it comes along, and you can't change what has been. And eventually you learn you haven't a whole lot to do with what will be.
So coming into town from the west, this is the sign that welcomes you into town. Welcome to Hicksville. We have a proud past and a bright future. And it's been updated. It looks pretty nice. We are at Alan Hilbert's house here in Hicksville, and he just turned 100 years old, I think, or over 100, and all he's ever known is Hicksville. So we're going to go talk to him and see what he has to say and share with us about Hicksville.
Hi.
So I'm trying to decide which is going to be the best room. I think we'll go
Okay.
into the kitchen, and for the three of us will be working out better.
Now, have you always lived in this house, or have you moved around?
Well, I built it.
You built this house?
Yeah.
Very nice.
It was one of the first on this side of the street.
Really?
Have seats.
Okay, wonderful.
I'm assuming this is the best way out.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
This is cool.
Yes, in fact, I was born over there, a white house and garage combined. And my grandparents lived next door.
And how many people were in town at that time, or in this village at that time?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't any idea.
Not very many, huh?
Oh, it still hasn't grown that fast.
It's always stayed.
Would have liked to have had it grown more quicker.
Yeah. Would that have helped you out? What did you, is this what you did? Was
I'll
construction?
Get the stuff out of the way. I'm sorry.
It wasn't
No,
picking it
fine.
up, but that's fine. Did you do construction? Is that what you did, or were you?
Oh, I'm an optometrist.
That's what I thought. And you just,
Yeah.
or did you retire?
Once I managed to work my way through college, well, that's what I became.
Where did you go to college at?
Chicago,
Chicago.
the Northern Illinois College of Optometry.
Very cool.
And my grandfather and his brother were also optometrists.
And of course, you
So
came
I
back because
Had that fever to start with as a child.
Yeah. And so you came back to Hicksville after school because your heart was here, huh?
I don't think I ever had any other thought. My wife was born out here in the country nearby, and we just always lived here.
Yeah. What year did you
When
meet?
we didn't live in Chicago and some other places.
Yeah. Very cool. So what was Hicksville like 50 years ago? And what changes?
Our biggest problem was that our old industry had all been based on wood. Wooden handles and that sort of thing, and this had died out, so it took almost wartime, World War II, to come up with other industry that would replace it.
Mm-hmm.
So it never that great, but enough for a little town to survive.
Yeah. I like this town.
Thank you. Do
Yeah.
you live here now?
We do.
Yeah.
And she's lived here her whole life.
Born and raised.
I'm trying to think. Your maiden name
Was Henderson.
Henderson.
Mm-hmm.
Eldon Henderson. Did you know Eldon A. Henderson?
I'm lost. It's evidently a period that I slipped by.
Well, he was more in Cecil area.
Yeah.
When he was younger, he farmed a lot of the farmland around
I see.
Cecil.
Well,
And
my wife's parents
outside
were
of-
farmers in
so she's
north of town.
she's right on the actual. Their house that she grew up on is actually right on the edge of Hicksville's township in the country. So it's not in the village itself.
Hicksville and the other township.
Mark Township.
Mark.
So
Right.
it's
We live on
So
Buckskin.
you lived east.
yeah.
Yeah, we live on Buckskin, right at the cutoff. So when growing up, I had to go to Central Local to Fairview
I
to
see.
school.
My wife grew up in Milford Township, north of town.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I find I have a slightly running nose.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's that
Times
season
for
now.
that.
We're not sick at all, so
You went.
We haven't been sick at all. So
Oh well, that's good.
yeah, we don't want
I
to
haven't
spread it.
either, but I have a little moisture
Running.
there
Yeah.
this morning or today.
So, um, what are some, I guess, some highlights of your past, or some wonderful things that you remember about Hicksville, or maybe just
Okay.
some stories, whatever you'd like to share.
I'm trying to think of something that would be.
And
of
I don't mean to
interest
put you
you.
on the spot. You can take your time or whatever. I'm just whatever you think you would like people to know
One
about
of the people
Hicksville.
that had to struggle to get through college because I worked my way all the way,
Mm-hmm.
and of course then World War II interfered,
Mm-hmm.
and I spent 3 years in the Pacific area, and it was a good period, I guess, and we enjoyed our practice and being in Hicksville. I don't think we ever regretted staying here. You know, so often people say, "Oh, I should have done this and I should have done that." And
Mm-hmm.
we never had that sort of feeling.
What was it about Hicksville that you enjoyed?
I think typical small town. Hicksville wasn't better than or bigger than or wilder than.
Yeah,
You had
I
everything you
agree.
needed, though.
Yeah, I went through high school with people that I went to kindergarten with. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
So good
Right.
relationships is the big part.
yeah.
Huh?
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'm not volunteering because of a lack of things to say, but I'm mostly interested in coming up with something of interest to you.
Mm-hmm.
This is rather a recent part of my life. I've suddenly gotten to where I'm on pills of this kind and that kind, and
Yeah.
I don't like that.
I wouldn't imagine. And then you got to keep track of it all too. It's all just a whole nother phase in
Yeah.
your life, huh?
Uh,
What do you enjoy doing? What were your hobbies growing up? Did you have things hunting or art?
yeah,
or...
a lot of interest and not done in great depth, but oh, let's see, what could I say then?
Well, you built this house. That's a pretty good hobby. Where did you learn this trade?
Oh, I didn't build it
Oh,
personally.
you had someone build it.
I could afford to go in debt to have it built
I gotcha.
almost in my backyard.
Yeah, very cool. It's a nice house. I like it.
And this was opposed to our subdivision, you know, that I think we were among the first houses.
Mm-hmm.
The
Is that why this was pre-hospital too? This was when the hospital was over here on
the hospital was across the street almost
from
yes.
you. Yeah, that was the building that burnt down. What, 2 years ago? 3 years ago.
It would have been
When someone was ill
Longer.
in the neighborhood would smell the ether, and this housewife and that housewife would be out discussing, you know, what's happening with Rachel.
So what was
the way I
the
grew up? You
Yeah.
know, at 12 years old, that was important.
Yeah. And why would you smell ether? What was going on with the ether?
Oh, the hospital was across the street.
Yeah, and they would make an ether smell of some sort, or
Well, when someone was having surgery, of some
you would smell the
typical
ether.
things that happened at the hospital, and yeah, well, that'd be part of it.
Oh, I didn't know.
But as I say, everybody was out talking.
Yeah. Yeah. Talking about what was going on.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was usually someone you knew or knew of, and
Right. That's the up and downside of a small village is you know everybody and everything.
yeah, it works both ways.
That's right.
Yeah.
You got to mind your P's and Q's, huh?
Right.
But there's nothing wrong with that, keeping each other accountable, so that's good. Did you golf? Did you used to golf?
Not very much. I guess I didn't have time.
Yeah. I wouldn't imagine with everything you had going on.
In my case, your time was to be productive,
Right.
one way or another, so that things you should have enjoyed, or you can look back and say, well, why didn't I, and what have you. I was never, what little golfing I tried, I was not very good.
Yeah. You found joy in work, production,
Right.
and helping your family, building your family up. Did you have any kids?
Yes, a son and a daughter, and I was thinking too that I was one of 3
Oh.
boys, and
And what brought your parents here to this area?
that's interesting. Agriculture, of course, they were farmers.
Okay.
Nearly all my wife's family was the same way. It was,
The soil's great out here. Very sandy soil. Plants grow tremendously around this
right.
area.
The big struggle that you remember, of course, what I remember best is what it was like in the Depression.
Mm-hmm.
And farming was not a good way to suddenly become wealthy.
Right.
But on the other hand, you ate.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in many ways, you were better off than people
Making it
who were
through.
not farmers.
Correct. Because you always could sustain yourself,
Right.
which is really the main thing anyways.
How are you related to Jim Hilbert?
I'm sorry.
How are you related to Jim Hilbert?
Oh, that's my son.
That was your son? That was my
Yeah,
eye
yeah.
doctor growing up, my
He
whole
what?
childhood. He was my eye doctor when I
Oh,
was a
good.
child. Yes.
Good.
Yeah, he's a great
He
eye
was a
doctor.
good man.
Yes. I guess probably that's as big a regret as any is that he isn't around.
Yeah. He was a good man.
Yes. He did the best he could. And I had a brother, Charlie, who was a banker over at Edgerton, because he married the banker's daughter. It's a good way to get started when you're a teenager and
Yeah.
what have you. I'm not trying to make that be funny, but
Right.
in his case, for the rest of us, others of us struggled maybe to get through college. He didn't yet, a ready-made job
Yeah.
very early. And
Well, often wives came with dowries. Often wives came with dowries in the past. Dowries? Is that what they called it? They would come with their... when a woman would get married, they
Oh.
would come with a
yes,
dowry,
That's
their
true.
their inheritance, I guess.
or a daughter when she was
A daughter, yes.
born. It was arranged.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Back in the day, huh?
right. It's something you
It's
read
not-
about rather than having experienced.
Yeah.
Uh,
But you've experienced a lot, 100 years, huh? Did you just turn 100?
yes, last June.
Oh, so it's almost 101. Almost 101.
Right.
That's very cool.
Oh, I don't know.
101
It's
years.
something you don't have a lot to do with. You didn't get in the way of a train or something else, so you're
Yeah.
still around.
Yeah, you're very
But
blessed.
I've been lucky in that with health that I might have had some minor illnesses, but I've been a survivor of other things.
Yeah.
And
Do you have any reason why? I mean, what's your norm? What do you eat for breakfast?
I was going to say we could blame Wheaties or something else.
Yeah.
No, it was, I think, of course, first it's luck.
Yeah.
In the service, they didn't happen to need optometrists, or they didn't think they did, so that I started out some pretty grunt things, and some situation occurred where suddenly they needed me, but I didn't come up with, of course, a bunch of bars and stripes and things like that, but I survived.
Yeah.
And I spent 2 years out of the 3 in the Pacific area, and most of it in hospitals.
Mm-hmm.
And pleasant memories.
And they were tough, huh? Tough but pleasant. It was tough to deal with some of the military stuff. I mean, it wasn't easy, huh? Leaving your family and...
Have you had any service
I haven't. My brother's in the service. I have not.
Okay.
Your dad
Well,
was.
My dad was in the service.
you could find things they would complain about
Yeah.
very easily.
Yeah,
And,
we could all find something, I'm sure.
you're a survivor, you went in now and put through this and came out the other end and feel very fortunate that you did.
So you focus on what matters. And you forget about all the other stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Uh, something that in my case I never had anything more to do with the military. I had had enough, and they didn't come and get me, and I didn't volunteer to
Go.
do a lot of other things.
Yeah.
I'm not volunteering. I'm depending on you to ask me the right thing.
Right. I got you. And I'm trying to think of more questions too.
What things do you hold near to your heart here in Hicksville?
Beg your pardon?
What things do you hold near to your heart here in Hicksville?
Well, I think first I was fortunate to survive in a small town.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was an advantage. People I grew up with were typical of everywhere. In other words, you had good friends and not people that you never were that friendly with, which is probably your own fault.
Mm-hmm.
Having had a practice to earn my income, and Hicksville supported me, so
Yeah.
that was good. And of course, the catch is that it wouldn't have mattered where I was, I don't think, because the practice was over the area, a pretty good sized area.
Yeah.
My grandfather had were growing up in Newville,
Yeah.
quite a city to start from,
Right.
and
Smaller than Hicksville.
yeah, but at one time it was probably the other way around because they had a river.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
And
That makes a
they
big
had-
difference back then, huh?
They had a
Everything came-
number of industries.
Mhm.
I have some pretty pleasant memories of this because my mother was raised by her grandparents in Newville, and there were times that she walked from Hicksville to Newville, back in her girlhood, and
It's impressive. What is that? 18 miles?
it's
No, probably not that far.
probably 6, but.
So I'm way off. It seems like 18 miles. 6 miles isn't too bad.
We'd be more reluctant to do it right now, but in the early 20s, teens,
Yeah.
if you didn't have a bicycle, you were probably going to walk.
Right. A lot of people walked. I think that's why people were more healthy. I think a lot of people were more active. Now we ride cars and bikes and they have...
Also, I don't think they felt that they were underprivileged.
Yeah. No, I don't think so.
The Depression period, if you were surviving, if you were eating and had something to wear, well, you were probably pretty well off.
Yeah. Surviving, you were well off, right?
Better off than somebody over there,
Right. I agree. Yeah, so what kind of things did you do during the Depression to survive? Do you remember?
Oh, yeah. I had newspaper route when I was at school.
And that was a big thing back then. I remember watching the news.
If you were lucky enough to get it, and usually you had to fawn over somebody you didn't really respect in order to get it if they were going to quit.
Right. Yeah. You had to jump on it.
I'm
right?
not trying to be funny. I'm trying to recall things that you might be interested in.
Oh, we're interested in it all.
I think the most unusual part of my life and my wife's were that first we survived practically in the same place from birth to, like the hospital used to be just right over there.
Yeah. You got to see all the changes through the years, huh?
Yeah, but we also knew so many people.
Right.
And in building a practice, that was of value. In other words, people that you were supportive in church or other things that you did.
Mm-hmm.
And I know our practice was pretty well over into the Bryan and Montpelier area. That would be far-fetched, but as far as it would go. Antwerp, especially, Paulding County.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, at that time, I think Defiance County probably made more progress than Paulding County. Getting the General Motors plant was
huge.
a big deal.
Yeah.
Because most of the industry here had pretty well died out. It was based on wood.
Right.
You know, it was timber.
Yeah. Yeah, they had boat builders here at one time, I guess. Boat builders came down and helped build the handle factory. Is that true?
I don't know who.
I heard that boat builders came down
could,
because they had a lot of the jobs had come inland, and they didn't have a lot of work for some of these boat builders. So you can go into that handle factory and you can actually see the timbers, the rounded timbers like they used to make boats that hold that roof ceiling up.
Never heard that before.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
I should be interviewing you.
No, I don't know. I'm trying to find out more about Hicksville, so I'm finding gems. But
that's interesting. Hicksville, and as I would remember it from in my lifetime in the beginning, had two basic industries based on wood, two handle factories.
Oh, they had two. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Where was the other one at?
I'm trying to give it a name. Anyhow, it was. I really don't know as much about the second one as I do the Crook and Company.
Mm-hmm.
But with Miller Manufacturing, you might be able to find quite a bit on it.
Okay.
And they may have employed almost as many people at one time or another. In other words, see, my problem is I'm remembering from the Depression when neither one was doing very well.
Right.
And yet they were survivors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they made it all the way up till not long ago. Crook Miller was.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, there you just put it together. Miller Manufacturing and Crook and Son were two basic industries, and eventually you have
they combined.
Crook, Miller.
I see.
Makes sense.
So they came together to survive.
That's exactly right. The Depression was hard on all of them. So,
right.
And I don't, of course, in my case, I don't know whether one was much better off than the other.
Right.
But
together they survived.
Yeah, and I like to think I remember a lot of these things that I don't. You know, like how long were they together?
Yeah. You don't know. Now, when you were young, high school, maybe right after high school, you know, dating age, what did you do for fun in Hicksville? Friday night came around, school was out. Was it still just work all the time, or did you guys get together and do things?
Oh, no. Typically, we used to roller skate. Hicksville at least had decent streets for that, so that skating from maybe your freshman year, and the skating, of course, became part of dating because, again, it didn't cost anything.
Yeah.
You didn't have
you
anything
still do
to
it
spend
together.
anyway.
Yeah.
And
So the streets are all paved up in Hicksville then?
pretty well.
Wow.
Brick to start with.
Yeah.
Those uptown are all brick.
Wow.
And I think High Street, probably a lot of it was brick.
Did they have somebody come in and lay the bricks for the road, or did people in town do it? You don't remember?
Well, first they had their own kilns.
Oh, so we made our own bricks here. Wow, cool.
which were down in what we call the Shoe Factory edition.
Yeah, where's
See,
that
again,
at?
that brings up something.
Yeah, where's the shoe factory?
It may never existed, but maybe some operator or somebody that could get you to buy stock in some company.
Yeah.
Whether it ever was going to happen or not, I have no memory of it of there ever being a shoe factory there. But that's what it was called.
Where was that at?
And if you were down where
Crook Miller was?
yeah, that area. And
They called it.
where I grew up here in this area, there was a residential area down in there that was known as the Shoe Factory Edition. In other words, the other side of the tracks,
Yeah.
if you hear me.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I love the way that the railroad tracks are raised. Has it always been that way where you could drive underneath them?
I don't know.
You don't know?
My time, of course, yes.
So
But I would doubt that the railroad started that way.
yeah,
That would have been an expense that was unreasonable.
right.
They would have been what would be considered a water level route or what have you, whatever was there that took the least work.
Right. Yeah. And then they cut it out, which was amazing. I think that's one of our best features is the fact that you don't have to wait on trains ever. You can just
This
drive
has
it
been important a lot of times, yes.
for emergencies and everything else.
Well, and for an industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most towns you have to sit there 10, 15 minutes and wait on a train. Even these big towns are like that.
Trying to think of something that would be of interest to you on that. I don't know when the railroad was raised, but of course that had to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It went from a water level route to
Higher.
being raised to probably for its convenience more than anyone else.
Right.
In other words, it became a national firm. I don't know where it started, but suddenly it was important that you not have to wait on the train and wait on other traffic and what have you. In other words, I don't know what year it was raised.
Yeah. It's been there a long time, apparently, 100 years. So.
I hope you'll excuse me. I'm going through a period that has been an unhappy one for me. I was undiagnosed for quite a while, but it's a neural thing, so that when I can start out in pretty good shape and then suddenly have pains and what have you that make me not a very nice person to be around.
Yeah.
But that's what all this is for. This is a new part of my life,
All the medication.
All this bunch of pills.
Yeah. So do you still have family around here now?
Around, yes. But I feel stupid sometimes because I don't immediately come up with a good answer for you.
Oh,
Like
you're
I
doing wonderful.
I grew up in this neighborhood. My wife grew up in Milford Township, which is just north of town.
Right.
And for a while we had kids in the area. Now they're
Other places.
yeah. Well, again, at 100 years old, you've survived quite a little bit, and others that should still be here are not always here. And
That's sad, huh? It's hard to deal with. That's hard to deal with, huh?
oh, no, it's like anything else. You live each day as it comes along, and you can't change what has been. And eventually you learn you haven't a whole lot to do with what will be.
That's right.
So you live each day as it comes along and are not even always appreciative of the fact that you are here.
Yeah. Wake up appreciative. That's the claim, huh?
Well, that you could be more fortunate and have been. I was trying to think of some pleasant things to say.
Yeah. Did you and your wife get married here in town? Or was it in
Palmyra, Missouri.
Oh, Missouri. Very cool. What were you doing out there? For business?
Being married, that's about all of them.
You went out to get married. Very cool. Did she have family out in Missouri?
No.
You just wanted to go to Missouri.
I think it's sort of a ridiculous thing. I had discovered the community,
Yeah.
and I was in the West at the time for some other things, other reasons, and at least I could tell you.
Yeah. Some people wouldn't remember, huh? Missouri, very cool. So,
I'll be glad to answer your questions. I'm just not very good about bringing things up that I
okay,
said.
I'm gonna think of more stuff.
You
got me on the spot. I wasn't sure if we were doing it today or a different day, so
Beg your pardon?
I wasn't sure if we were gonna do this today. I was just trying to get a hold of you.
Neither was I.
Yeah. So we'll work through it, and I can cut it out and edit things too.
Okay, fine.
But
It's
trying
a nice way to do it because you can take what you want of it and forget it.
Yeah. Because I do want people to know a little more about Hicksville, and that's the whole point of this. So the more I can get and whatever. So
I think probably the story of Miller Manufacturing.
That was the biggest.
Say probably second in size. Kirk Miller was, in my mind, was there before and growing. And Miller Manufacturing was just what it sounds like. It was a family affair.
Yeah.
Where Kirk Miller, I think, probably started out even as a corporate thing.
So what was the biggest factory in town if Kirk Miller was second?
That's what I'm doing is visualizing.
Yeah.
Well, on High Street, at the viaduct, as you would go west under it and turn left, now you're at what became Crook and Son. And I don't know what it was before that. And then on the west side of town was Miller Manufacturing. And eventually it all became Crook Miller. But not a great deal of growth. Post-war made so many changes. You know, suddenly there was industry in the area that didn't exist before. And there were people driving, say, from Hicksville to Fort Wayne.
So a lot of the soldiers came back some of the soldiers came back to this area?
Well, Fort Wayne, of course, had the industry, the World War I
industry.
Industrial growth started there, would have been there.
And so that kind of...
This was essentially an agricultural town.
Yeah, I believe so.
One way or another, the farmers came to town to shop, so you had to have some grocery stores.
Yeah. Now, was the grocery store always where Klein's was at, or
They were uptown.
They were all right uptown.
Uptown was it.
Okay.
There was no reason to build out. Like, for example, this is a very...
The interview took about an hour and a half, close to 2 hours, so I'm not going to put this all in one vlog, but there's a little bit more after this. Hopefully it teases you for the next one.
Give people to do to keep them out of trouble.
Yeah.
We had a boys band at the same time, and
just
never
like
made you a dime, but you were you knew you were going to band practice on such and such a night, and
So the movie Music Man was reality in Hicksville, basically.
right.